Hey. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Forever Lisa's YouTube channel. You just enter into the Royal Jewels Palace Love chat room where you will see God's love, peace, joy, happiness, unity, and respect. So I thank you guys all for tuning in, and I hope you guys had a very, very Merry Christmas on yesterday with your family. I know I had a wonderful time, and I ate good. I ate too much, and I ate. So that means I got to do a lot of working off to work some of this good old food off them here, guys. We had a little bit of everything. But I was blessed because only I had to cook was the collard greens and I baked the chocolate cake. So we got such a big family that, we all pitch in and, and cook together. You know what I'm saying? Instead of putting on one person. So that's what we've been doing for many years. So the tradition is still going on. So I hope you guys had a wonderful time with your family. And if you are in the bushes, you are so welcome to come in here. Okay, I'm not going to bite you. You are so welcome to my channel. My channel is always wide open. Long as you come in here with respect. Okay. First of all, God is the covering over this channel right here. So respect God. Okay. Then respect the host, which is me. For Lisa, and respect my moderators. I do um, trust my moderators. I do believe they're gonna make the right decisions. So if you do come in here being disrespectful, they will block you, and I will deal with it after the fact. Okay, I'm not gonna question my moderators, especially when I'm doing content right now. Okay, and also respect each other. Okay, so again, I'm glad that you all had tuned in. You had came inside, and so welcome everyone. If you got a, a wall or a tab, whichever one that you call it, please share me out. I appreciate it so much. Let people know that Forever Lisa is live and she get ready to start this topic, wolf and sheep clothing. Okay, I think this is an awesome topic to be discussed. The last time I went live, I believe I had put a link on the back of my community wall and asked you guys to watch that video because that's what we're going to talk about today. Because I think that growing up growing up in the church or anywhere, you know what I'm saying, when your daughter or your son is being groomed for a particular person, you know what I'm saying. So I'm just gonna play the audio, and I might show some pictures and stuff like that. I did took quite a few screenshots of the lovely lady. We're going to be talking about what she called herself, Lady Renee. Okay, so we finna continue on to go on. I also want you guys to keep my family in your prayers because on last Tuesday, which was December 21st, I lost my oldest brother. He was 75 years old. He was well loved in the community. Everybody knew him. You know what I'm saying? He was the oldest of all of us, and there's 13 of us. And he was the oldest. So the Lord took him home. You know what I'm saying? He was a great husband. He was a great father, a great grandfather. Um, he was just a awesome good man. So we're gonna lay him to rest on this Wednesday at his home church that church that him and his family had went to. So just keep us in your prayer, okay? There's no God is good. God never made no mistake. Um, my brother, he lived a good life. You know what I'm saying? He lived a really good life. He was like I said, he was a good man. Okay, so his job was done. So there's time for him to go home. Okay, so now he's at peace and now he can rest. Okay, his work is finished. His work is done. So again, like I said, keep us in your prayer. And again, like I said, you are so welcome to come in into my life. And we're finna get started. Finna go ahead and get started. This is probably gonna be like a couple days because I'm off this week right here. So, because the video itself that I was listening, that I was listening to, was like about 2 hours. So we are gonna do we're gonna listen to the audio, and I'm gonna stop, and we're gonna communicate and talk about that then. Okay. Matthew's 7:15 says, "Beware of the false prophets who come to you in sheep clothing, but inwardly they are ravenous wolves." Okay, so watch out, because they are here. They are here to come and get you, snatch your head off, and groom you up, or whatever they got to do. Okay, to please stay self. This topic of discussion will be about the wolf in sheep clothing. We have to be careful of who we let into our lives. There's a lot of wolves who walk in beautiful garments and appear to be a beautiful sheep. Okay, they speak very intelligent with a nice smile and very charming. They say they love the Lord. So let's come over and let's discuss this discussion about the wolves in sheep clothing. Hey, sunshine. Hey, sexy. As grandma. Hey. So I'm gonna go ahead and play the audio, and then I'm gonna stop it at some point, and I might say some words, behind it, and this is a disclaimer. I'm gonna drop this in real quick. Disclaimer. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for a purpose such as criticism, comments, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that may otherwise be infringing nonprofit, education, or personal use. Tips and balance in favor of fair use. Okay, and this is for education purpose only, because people do need to be taught. People do need to be taught on what's going on um, when your young daughter or son is being groomed, and come to find out, just listen to the tape. Okay, listen to the tape. It's a good tape. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and get started right now. I'm not going to show her the video. I'm just going to play the audio only, for teaching purpose only, okay? And she said this documentary was recorded without script or any rehearsal in order to give viewers a raw and honest. Over 2 years ago, I left a very abusive marriage. And one of the things that I learned during the healing process is that I repress emotions. It's a thing that I learned to do as a coping mechanism. So I wanted to give this disclaimer before starting that at times I may seem disconnected from the story I'm telling. At times I may do a little, huh. I don't think anything is funny. That was a coping mechanism. And at times I may tell the story in a way that seems very matter of a factly type of way. The story is very real. The things that I am telling are very real. The things that happened were very real. But trauma has a way of molding you into something different. We were never created to live in trauma for an extensive amount of time. And because I did so for over 15 years, I learned different ways to adapt.
I now see where I was groomed throughout my entire high school experience, groomed by Mr. Francis as well as other adults. He was 23 at the time. He was the assistant teacher, and I was 14 years old when we met. He was crying on the steps, and I'm like, "What's wrong?" He began to tell me that this person said if he didn't pay for his therapy, that he would call the cops. And there were so many people coming forward with their stories. And if they weren't sending them to me, they were sending them to people I know. And I was receiving screenshots like, oh, he did this to me too. I noticed that the lies began to become more and more extreme. He started preaching a lot of messages on honor and basically like.
Okay, she said it was years of spiritual abuse, twisting scriptures, and using the pulpit to prey on God's people. Remember what she said she was groomed. She was only 15 and he was 23. So they was ready to you know, make her, his wife. Okay, continue on and listen.
Blind loyalty. I felt like I was living in a movie that just wasn't even like it just wasn't stopping. He said, because you opened your big mouth and tried to check me, you and your children will suffer like the rest of your family. That is the last thing he said to me concerning my children. I received a death threat from him when things started to come out concerning his sexuality. I can now speak out so nobody else has to go through what I went through. I didn't mean to cry. My name is Lady Renee, and this is my story. It was March 3rd, 2019. My husband at the time and I were pastoring a church. He was the guest speaker for a church in Alabama. We were all sitting down with the congregants after service, eating dinner, and the drummer at the time said, Apostle, so how do you feel about everything that's going on with the allegations concerning R. Kelly? I will never forget the response. He looked up from eating his food and said, well, I think R. Kelly likes what he likes, with a smirk. The table erupted in laughter. And I remember in that moment feeling like everything just stood still. In that moment, I realized that I wasn't dealing with a person who in the past had fallen into different sins and, was remorseful for the things that he had done. I was dealing with a real life predator. So I kind of started at a piece of the beginning of the end for me, but I'll go to the beginning of the story. I was 13 years old, ninth grade freshman, attending School of the Arts in Rochester, New York. I was.
You hear that? She was 13. She was married to a narcissistic. He was a child molesting, a homosexual, and a pastor. It's a good story, you guys. Listen.
Was extremely excited to go to this school. All I wanted to do in life was sing at that time. And I remember seeing the movie Fame, and I just knew that School of the Arts would be like my chance to live out fame. So I walked into this audition. It was September 2003, and I met the teachers for this show choir called Soda Singers, one of which became my husband. So he was 23 at the time. He was the assistant teacher, and I was 14 years old when we met. In retrospect, at 32 years old, I now see where I was groomed throughout my entire high school experience, groomed by Mr. Francis as well as other adults who were close to him, were around him at the time. And also, we went to this prophetic service. I remember it was an elder. He came and we went to this prophetic service where there was the group Highly Favored and myself. We all went. And this elder asked, did I know the man in the back? And so he was pointing at Mr. Francis. And so I did say, I said, yes, I know him. And so he said, oh, well, all I have to say is somebody want to put a ring on your finger. And I remember, everybody in the church was like, oh, wow, amen, amen. And so, naive, young, a child, I took that as a sign from God that this is what God wanted, because a man of God who was from out of town was saying that this is what, God said a man want to put a ring on your finger. I even went to premarital counseling with Mr. Francis. I was 17 years old. He was 9 years older again. He was 26. And we went through counseling, premarital counseling. Now as an adult, I would never counsel two people those age gaps. And so again, it shows how
that is a really, really big gap. You know what I'm saying? Um, to be married to somebody, because he's way much older than her. She even have a chance to even go out to enjoy her own life, her own young life. And I thank you, Sunshine, for watching. Because I did put it out there because I want everybody to watch it first. That way you guys know what you is listening to. You know what I'm saying? It's very sad. It's very sad. She been through a whole lot in this marriage. Yes, she have. That's why I named it Wolves in Sheep Clothing. Let's continue on.
it wasn't just him acting alone. There was a community who was supporting this. And so, May 7th, 2007, I turned 18. It was a Monday. And I remember him asking me to marry him on that Friday. I said no. I said no because my family at the time didn't agree. And honestly, I was 18. There were still some other things I wanted to do. I remember telling him, I want to see the world. And of course, he said, we'll see it together. And so he took me to his mom's job. His mom was working at the time at number 6 school. We went up there. And I don't know what he said to her, but she came back in her classroom and asked, like, hey, can we talk? And so, in us talking, well, really, she did the talking. She just explained to me that God really wanted us together, and that your family doesn't always agree with the things of God, and you just have to step out and move by faith, knowing that it's God, and you'll be blessed for your obedience. And then she started saying, you said you love him, so if you love him and y'all gonna get married, y'all just get married. Your family is your family. Now you two will be family. I also forgot to mention that even in this high school time, his mom is actually the one. Well, she was one of the ones. She called me on my 16th birthday. I was turning 16 years old, and at that time, I was no longer allowed to be in the group and different things because things started coming out that we were together. I found out later he was actually spreading that we were together to cover up the fact that he had been molesting uh, fellow students who were males who and these investigations were about to come out. So, and
See, y'all hear that? See, he was already into messing with little boys. You know what I'm saying? And his mother pushing her to marry him. She knew what her son was doing. You know what I'm saying? So to cover it up, to make it try to look good. You know what I'm saying? If he gonna get accused, he prefer to get accused of dating a younger woman than of being accused of messing with young boys. Let's continue on.
I'll get into that later. So his mom called my house. His mom called my house and told my mom that her name was Sanicia to get me on the line. And when I got on the line, she said, happy birthday, birthday angel. Somebody wants to say happy birthday to you. So saying that to say, again, there was so much involved in this grooming. So back to May 7th, 2007, on my birthday, she's telling me, hey, if you love him, you'll do this. And so that Friday, May 11th, I found myself walking down the aisle to marry uh, my husband. And I remember him telling me right off the bat, like, don't tell anybody. Like, we're going to keep our business our business. So, one of the things that as an adult is an extreme red flag, besides the age difference and the fact that he was my teacher. And not only was he my assistant teacher for Soda Singers, he was also head of Highly Favored. He was also the coach for the step team that I was on. So, like, in so many ways, he was an authority figure, so to speak. So that is an extreme red flag, something that should have never happened. And then also, he asked me for my refund check from school. I was now at this time attending Monroe Community College. I had just received that spring refund check. And so we used that 3,000 check. It was actually 2,800 something dollar check. We used it for him to pay for the wedding and also for us to get our first apartment on First Street. Back to just how much I thought this person was a person of integrity, which again, now at 32, I know that there's never any integrity involved in
Wolves in sheep clothing.
a teacher with a student or in a man that is 9 years older than a child. I know that that could be integrated. However, he at the time just portrayed that he had so much character and that, he was just such this man of valor. One of the things that he told me in counseling and even before counseling was that he was a virgin. He made it loud and clear, not just to me, but to others, that he was a virgin and he was saving himself for marriage. For years to come, he would also state how he saved himself for marriage and his wife saved herself for marriage. And that's why it was so great. But so he told me he was a virgin. He did mention that a few female students while he was a student, so they were all in high school at the same time, performed oral sex on him in the basement of School of the Arts, but he only did it because of his friends. And of course, he said first and last names of all parties involved. I thought I was marrying somebody who, again, was a virgin. I remember going to the doctor early in our marriage because I was having a problem. I went to the gynecologist and I just remember him being extremely nervous. And so it was a little strange. Uh, he ended up telling me that he was nervous because, things can show up later. And so, although it had been 7 years, he had not been with a woman 7 years prior to me. Because again, he was saving himself for marriage, and all women just wanted to rip his clothes off. And so he told me how sometimes things, STDs and different things, could wait and show up 10 years later. I was a virgin. I was like a real virgin where I didn't do anything with anybody, nothing oral, nothing at all, like virgin. And so he was afraid that something would appear and that it would be from him. That was one of my first clues that something probably wasn't right with what he told me. However, I dismissed it as my husband is just concerned with my health and well being. On January 31st, 2009, my husband at the time was installed as pastor of his grandmother's church of 42 years. I was 19 years old, so literally the youngest first lady in the city, and probably like we had started honestly researching. I was probably like one of the youngest first ladies ever. And first lady is just a term that is used when you're a pastor's wife in a lot of African American churches. And so, with that responsibility, I really wanted to make sure that God was pleased, that God was proud, and that I was doing His name justice in walking this out in a way that pleased Him. And showing people that just because I was a youth, it didn't mean that God couldn't use me and that He couldn't use me mightily. I just knew I was married to a man who wanted the same, who really wanted to please God. And I believed at the time that was why we were past.
That's the ones you got to watch. You really got to watch those ones that said they love the Lord because they know Christian women, They want a Christian man, somebody really, really loves the Lord. So you will find some, I ain't say all of them. You will find some will use that line, they love the Lord. They worship the Lord. They got a relationship with God. And then once you get married to them, it's totally different. Let's continue on listening to her, Lady Renee.
To please, to serve, to honor God, to serve his people the way he would have us to do it. Also, at that time, I was told that I officially had endometriosis, that I also had PCOS, and that it would be difficult for me to conceive. Even in that time, and had I waited until later, I could possibly never have children. I didn't have the biggest problem with never having children. However, my husband really, really, really wanted children. I was kind of at that time willing to risk waiting some more years because, again, this time I'm 19. We have a new church, and it's just a lot of things going on with that. I wrote a book about that. But to please my husband and realizing that I was married and that it wasn't just what I wanted, I went through 3 years of fertility treatments. I went through going back. It was actually 2 years. It's 2 years of fertility treatments, and I had in that time 6 miscarriages. But he really, really wanted a child, and I really wanted to give him what he wanted. In March of 2011, right when I was around 4 or 5 months pregnant with my daughter, we left that church, his grandmother's church, and we began the Life Giving Word Center that April of 2011. In August 2011, I had my daughter, which was just a miracle within itself. 8 pounds, 3 ounces. Was just so happy, so excited, and just very, very thankful. Very, very, very thankful to God after all we had went through that she came here and she was healthy. She was well. And so a few months after that, it was around December. My husband comes to me and he tells me that God is calling him to open a church in Atlanta, Georgia. And so, he said we would have one church in 2 locations. On January 28th, 2013, we officially moved to Atlanta, Georgia, with my toddler at the time, to start another church. And I will never forget how much we met with the saints at our current church, saying that, it would be one church in 2 locations. We committed to going back and forth every week, literally, to the saints. They even, honestly, the saints from Rochester, Life Giving Word Center, they gave us $2,000. They raised $2,000 to get us buddy passes so that we could travel back and forth. However, the buddy passes no longer worked because the AirTran merged with Southwest, so the buddy pass we had did not work. But to keep our word, I made sure that I booked megabus tickets. And literally, with my toddler, for several months, we were on that bus for 19 hours because it stopped in Buffalo. It stopped in Ohio for a few hours. So we were on that bus for 19 hours. And there were times where it would just be myself and my child. But I felt like I really wanted to keep my word to the people. Like, for me, it was bigger than me and me being comfortable. I really felt like, wait, but we promised these people we would be back. We have their money. Like, we got to come back. And so I was that committed. Just saying that to say that's how committed and how dedicated I was to the vision, to what I believed was a God vision. Down to even one time, things got tight. Things got tight because.
And that what you call a wife that had her husband back, even though at this time she still didn't know what her husband was doing. You know what I'm saying? She is being that committed wife. A committed wife, want to serve God's people. She loved God's people. Okay. Continue on listening to her story.
When the saints started seeing in Rochester how we weren't coming back as much, and attention started being placed more on Atlanta, people started leaving. And then our members in Atlanta, they left. And so we ended up having no church in Atlanta, but a small conglomerate of people. I think we probably had maybe 20 people left in Rochester, New York. And so in that time, that was around June of 2013, literally June of 2013. And at that time, he decided that he would place more attention back on the Rochester church. And I also noticed that this relationship with one of his godsons started getting even more uncomfortable for me. This particular godson, he came to our church at around 15 years old. He was a musician, and you know, at first when I would mention it, my husband would tell me that I was just being like, oh, well, you don't really do people as much as I do people. And I'm a musical pastor and he plays the organ, so I need to be hands on with him. Then he went into different things as far as his relationship with his mother and his stepfather wasn't good. He went into different things as far as this person didn't know their father. And so all of these things he was basically using against me to say, shame on you for not allowing me to mentor him properly because you're feeling jealous. And so I put it way in the back of my head. I said, okay, because God knows I don't want to be jealous of anybody, and especially not a young man who needs help, a young man who's really seeking a father. And so fast forward to August of 2013, we are now faced with the dilemma of being evicted from our home. First time being evicted from our home. And so he went to preach a revival in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. And when he came back with enough money to possibly save the home for like a month or two. However, he knew in that time, like he had no way of us basically like sustaining it. And so he decided that we would put all our stuff in a car that we could, and we would go back to Rochester, New York. I want to mention this, and this is, some people would probably think this is small, but it was big to me. While he was going in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, when I say we were about to be evicted from our home, also, like, we did not have running water. The water was shut off. Like, so it was myself, my daughter, who was about to turn 2. I'm literally pouring water we're in a mansion though, the mansion he put all on Facebook when we moved. And I'm pouring water in this mansion so we can use the bathroom and it can go down, like while he's gone. Also, I remember, I'll never forget, looking for change in the seats of the couches. I was looking for change, and all I wanted to do was get noodles. And they were 79 cents at Aldi's that was down the street. So I remember getting it was like 90 cents that I found. I was so thankful, like, oh my God, thank you, God. As I'm driving with my daughter in the back, I realized that there was no gas in the car. And so I'm on 138 in Stockbridge, Georgia. And I'm driving like, oh my God, please let us make it. Like, please let us make it there and make it back. I'm just getting noodles. And I was just getting noodles because for 2 days straight, my child and I literally ate cake mix. I had what is that thing? Not a griddle. It was a skillet that you place on the stove, and we had cake mix left. And so I was making her pancakes, like, oh, here, baby, we got pancakes, trying to, keep it happy. So I made it there. I got the noodles, and, we made it back home. When he got off the plane, I remember it was her birthday. It was August. So it was August 12th. 2013. And I remember him saying, like, wow, you guys look so nice, because I was that wife that I felt like he was struggling. He was already having a hard time. Like, what was I going to do? Make it, oh, you having a hard time. And again, I'm thinking, this is a man of God. And honestly, one of the things that he would say all the time is that this is building our testimony. So
yes, it was, sister, Shante. This was a very, very good story, and it's very sad. I'm glad you watched. Just want you guys to watch it before I did a live on it, because this story, mm, mm, mm. I know God believe in marriages, but some marriages we put ourselves in. But like I said, she was groomed, so she was young. You know what I'm saying? And they charm you, how they talk to you. You know what I'm saying? And then with the mother getting, it's liking you. You know what I'm saying? So it was like this this is very sad. This is very sad. Let's continue on to listen.
Honestly, I would hear people's testimonies, such as Bishop Jakes' testimony, when, they would go through certain things before and then they get to this better place. And so I thought that's what it was. I thought that through this, God was building character. That's why I didn't phone a friend or phone a relative who would have gotten me out of there, because I'm like, no, and I was told by him, this is God building us. And then also, I'm just like, okay, so I was quoting the scriptures, endure hardness as a good soldier. I was keeping a smile, not to keep an appearance, but because I thought I was going through, and I was going through gracefully. And soon this would be a testimony. But what I didn't know that there is a thing to suffer for righteousness' sake. But I didn't know that a lot of the suffering that was happening was because it wasn't suffering for righteousness' sake. It was my husband reaping things that he had sown. And because I was connected, I was a part of receiving that harvest as well. August 12th, when he came back from preaching at this revival, August 12th, 2011, my daughter and I, we were dressed up, and it was her birthday. I wanted it to be a special day, so we went to eat. And while we were eating, he discussed that it would be best for us to go back to Rochester, New York, just for a short time while he could just get things together really quick, and we relocate back to Georgia. And so I agreed. We packed what we could in the car, knowing that any day the sheriff would be there to get everything out. And so, when I said goodbye to the house, honestly, I said goodbye to everything. And when I say everything, I mean everything. All we could fit was what we had in the car. So all of the things from like when my daughter was born, just everything you can imagine, it was all gone. We're back pastoring this church in Rochester, and it's not really going well. People are extremely disappointed, which they had every right to be. And it just appeared to be like something that it wasn't. We ended up staying in a woman who he calls his sister. She's still my sister to this day. We were staying in her one-bedroom apartment that she graciously gave us. And he kept telling me how much he did not want people in our business because, people wouldn't understand what we were going through. And we just needed to keep it our business. And so I would go see my family, see my friends, and I would say absolutely nothing. I was an extremely loyal person. I
And that's true. When you're in a marriage, you have to be confidential in your marriages. You know what I'm saying? Because you can't go around spreading what's going on in your marriage. That's how people. That's how a lot of marriages break up because you whispering about what's going on in your home, and you get bad advice for certain people. But with this marriage right here, she couldn't keep a secret. You know what I'm saying? And once she started finding out and seeing things, what the wolf and the sheep clothing was doing, she had to speak out. You know what I'm saying? So certain marriages that you got to speak out when things is wrong and it's not of God. Okay, 'cause I think that he was doing in this marriage, as you guys will hear as she keep on speaking. The ones have not watched. I'm glad that she and it's more women like her that's going through marriages with with husbands like this, pastors that messing with little boys and stuff like that. These first ladies do need to come out and speak on it. You know what I'm saying? Because the devil is busy. He's busy, and if he can get to the head, which the pastor is the head, the whole body is going to fall. Okay, let's continue on.
still believe that confidentiality is important. And again, because I saw how he moved, at this point, I did see how he moved as it pertained to like his friends. I saw that he didn't really hold information, so I did not want him to have any information of any of my friends. So I had no problem keeping things between us. And so it was January of 2014. I remember laying on the bed and I hurried up and jumped up. And I jumped up and I said, "Was this godson musician here?" And he said, "Yeah, why?" And I said, "Well, because I just closed my eyes. And when I closed my eyes, I saw his behind sitting where my head was." And so he's like, "Oh, whoa, whoa, whoa." And I knew he had to sit on the bed because we only had a bed in the entire apartment. There was not a table, there was nowhere else to be. And again, this was a place that it was just supposed to be he and I, knowing that we were there. So that happened. And then it might have been 2 weeks later, I wake up from a dream where his phone is glowing in this dream. And so I wake up from this dream, and it was about maybe 3 in the morning, which that wasn't a strange time for me to wake up because at that time I was on a prayer line that was Tuesday through Thursday at 4 a.m. And so I woke up and I just saw the phone. I went in it. When I went in the phone, I saw more than I would have ever imagined seeing. And the main person on there was this godson, was this musician. What was so perplexing, even while I'm reading everything that they're saying to each other, uh, it was the fact I also then went to his emails, I then went to his DMs, I then went to his Facebook. Like I was going through it all. And it was just so like disturbing to see how he would go from father mode, right? Where he's telling him like, you need to do right and you need to be at school and do you have a resume because I'm going to give it to this person and dot, 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 and then he's going to, I love you. And I meant what I said. I believe everything for you, which I'm just like, leave everything. What are you leaving? Because I'm not your problem. Like it was extremely disturbing. And like when I say disturbing, he had a Tank song. I believe it was Amazing that he said reminded him of him, which that very same song he told me the very same thing. So I also went in his Google search history that same day from that very same phone, and I saw where he searched how to cook for him. And that was just again extremely strange because then when I looked at his text messages, he was saying, "Hey, I'm cooking for you at at my mom's house. What would you like?" Then I saw where he was saying, "First lady and the baby are not here. Can you come hold me?" That particular message, the other individual did not respond. The most disturbing message for me was the one where my husband, who was also this person's pastor, godfather, was telling him that maybe God had this happen to show him what love was and to show him love that was patient, love that was kind, love that saw no wrong. Like, I'm literally reading this and almost not believing that I'm reading what I'm believing, that someone would literally take the scripture, right? 1 Corinthians 13, and try to twist that for this. And so I did not confront him that night.
You find that many times people will take a scripture to make it fit their lifestyle. So they think it's okay for them, to live that type of way. And it's not. They take that scripture and just twist it all the way around. That's not of God. Not of God. You find that a whole lot.
Again, at 4 a.m., I was scheduled to be on a prayer line. And so I was on that prayer line listening to the prayer. And I believe that prayer helped. I believe that prayer on that day is why I'm still here today and not in a different place. And I'll just say that like that. That Friday, which was a day later, we had a rehearsal where I would be meeting the musician's girlfriend who was coming from out of town. And and we were having this rehearsal for a new group that my husband at the time was starting. So I remember I didn't confront him, but I remember feeling so angry, so numb. I had a hat on my head, and I just felt like, I remember when she walked in, I felt like I just wanted to blurt it out. Like, do you know that they with each other? Like, are you aware that this is what's happening? And I knew that she wasn't. And so I remember being very quiet in that particular rehearsal. Like, I said hi, and that was it. Also, I'm looking over at this person who's playing the instrument. Like, so we go home. Well, we were on our way home. And actually, this was the first time I experienced physical violence in our marriage. We were on our way home leaving this rehearsal, and he was upset because he felt as though I was not my bubbly self in rehearsal. And specifically for this godson, his girlfriend, he wanted me to make a good impression on her. And so he said, "You didn't make her feel welcome. Like, what is wrong with you?" I remember telling him, like, "Oh, just take me home." My daughter was in the back seat. And so he said, "No, you're going to tell me what's wrong now." I said, "No, take me to my mother's house, but I'm not telling you." And so he said, "Oh, you're going to tell me or you're going to get out of my car." And so me, I said, "I'm not getting out of anything." At that time on East Main Street, again, we are in January of 2014. He pushes me out of the car with my seatbelt still on. And so I did get back in the car, and I got on him, and uh, physically, I retaliated until I heard him screaming, "Our child is in the back. Our child is in the back." I mean, he was saying her name. I don't want to say her name on this, but he was saying, "Look at her, look at her." And so when I saw her, I saw my daughter and her eyes just so big, like, "What's going on?" Like, in the horror. And so I sat down. Immediately, he began crying, and like, why did you just start going crazy? And I told him what I had discovered. At that time, he's flipping out crying, like, "Oh my God, no, it's not what you think it is. We were really just playing. This is how people play a lot." He went from that to saying, "So really, I've been scared to tell you that he was coming on to me this whole time." And he began to tell me, like, I didn't understand young people and how when they do receive love and attention from father figures, sometimes they'll twist that. He called it the hero syndrome. That's what he was telling me. He's like, there's this hero syndrome where when you're helping people, they will often start liking and loving you. And I was trying to catch it. I'm so glad you caught this. Like, please don't leave. I still had him take me to my mother's house. He began knocking on the door, telling me he was going to kill himself because if I left, everyone would know it was because he was gay. And he really just couldn't take it. He was going to kill himself. His family had already turned on him. The previous people from the church in Atlanta had turned on him. Highly Favored had turned on him. Everybody in his life always turns on him. And please just don't do it because now they're really going to get him. Like, please don't. It was not what you think it is. He then started, just I guess now looking at as a 32-year-old woman, things anybody would say to get out of what they were in. So things like, "Look at him. Why would I do this? Like, why? Look at you. Look at him. Why would I do that? And I'm not gay. I don't want a man. Why would I do that? And that's my son. I don't look at him like that." I will also say, too, we were so involved with his family. Like, when I say so involved, we were over his aunt's house every single Monday for maybe like at least a year and a half, until we moved from Rochester to Georgia. He would go to that church, his grandfather's church, and he would preach revivals, and we would be there all the time. And he was close with his grandmother, like, and even with the mom, like, he would talk to the mom about how he was doing in school, and she would call him if something was going wrong, like, "I need you to tell him to straighten up." Like, so there was this part of me that started to believe him because I couldn't believe that anybody would be that I don't even want to use the word crazy, but that calculated, anybody would be able to smile and hug and tell people that they love them while betraying them on this level. Like, I just couldn't believe it. Even with, so he had a girlfriend at the time. He also had a baby mom, and like the way he was involved with them, it just honestly did not make sense to me that he would be right there with all of these people while in a relationship with somebody that he had groomed. I found the messages though. He had just turned 18 years old. And so with that being said, me calling the cops, if he wouldn't tell, when I say he, the victim, the godson, if he wouldn't say yes, this is what happened, this was true, me calling the cops would have done absolutely nothing. I ended up agreeing to go to counseling with him. We found a Christian counselor, but there were stipulations. He said that he preferred that the counselor would not be African American because African Americans would judge him. He also said he wanted it to be someone that we didn't know because they would just judge him. And then he said,
See, he was still trying to hide. So he had stipulation in order for him to go to counseling. Now, he the one needed help. And she still wanted this, even though she knew what he was doing, she found out that he was doing and stuff like that. She was still willing to make the marriage work. So we're gonna listen to a little bit more because it's almost 8:30, you guys. I only want to be on for an hour, but we will continue this on tomorrow.
that he did not necessarily want them to be affiliated with any church that we knew because he did not want to be held to just some group of text messages. He didn't want to be held to that for the rest of his life. He also had mentioned that men have affairs all the time. And unfortunately, because he was privy to a lot of people's confidential information as a pastor.
Just because men have affairs all the time, I mean that you have to have an affair. You a pastor. You a leader. Wolf in sheep clothing.
He went down the list in the line of different, not just members, but even peers and colleagues and all of their infidelity and indiscretions. And, he just went through the line and, like, don't sit on a high horse. Please just forgive me. Forgive me. Like, people aren't perfect like you. And I just made a mistake. And people make mistakes. Like, forgive me. And so we went to this counseling, and we relocated March 2014 back to Georgia with a refund check again from my school. And so we're back in Georgia, and at this time, we're now doing long distance counseling. I remember that he quickly told me that the counselor betrayed him. And he was crying, and he said he could not go back to counseling because people never understand him. He said the counselor betrayed him because one day he mentioned to me that the counselor said that I was still holding on too much to what had happened. And so I didn't believe it, but I said, "Oh, wow, that's funny that he said that I was still holding on to what has happened." But he told me that you have real serious psychological issues and I should really consider leaving. So
So we're gonna end it right there, you guys. We are going to tune back in on tomorrow. Like I said, this is her testimony with this right here is very good, and so you guys make sure you guys come back on tomorrow so we can finish this on out because everything that she hold on, that she is talking about is happening in this world for real. You know what I'm saying? So if you got a family member, you got a cousin, people, it's still a holiday time. People still shut down for the holiday. You guys, bring your family, bring your nieces in on tomorrow. Let's listen to the story together, okay? Because it's real out there. You know what I'm saying? Know what to look for when you in churches and stuff, and you seeing beautiful young girls who's growing up. They around a certain man a lot. Watch them. You know what I'm saying? Look at the signs because it's here. Okay, just because it's not happening to your family. You know what I'm saying? But it's out there, so you never know. So that way, you know the sign. You know what to look for. Look at her. She was only 15 years old when she was being groomed to marry him. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not gonna tell you the rest of the story. So we can continue on to watch this story on tomorrow. Because I'm off all this week right here. So it might take a couple days, to finish this story off because, like I said, it's over 2 hours long. And I want you guys to hear it long, hear it. But I got to, keep cutting it off and stuff, so we're not getting no copyright because it is for teaching. It is for teaching purpose only. Okay. So thank you guys all for tuning in. Let's see what Sunshine has said, and I'm gonna get some shout outs real quick. Through the Yes, she said, "Yep, I went through that." And he tried to make it seem like everything was my fault until the counselor started talking to him about his issues, and he got mad and didn't want to go back. Yes. So I'm glad you good. You guys came through. Thank you so, sister, for coming through here. God bless you. Sunshine and Michael, thank you for coming through here. Beverly, M. Shantae, um, Jermaine came through here. Lovely came through here. Thank you guys all for tuning in. Anybody watching in the bushes, thank you, Finest Wine, for coming through here. I know you was busy doing some things, and um, who else in here? If anybody else I missed, I apologize. But thanks everyone for watching. But I have to leave out early because I have another venue that I have to attend on tonight. So happy holidays. Hope, like I said again, hope everybody had a very, very blessed Christmas. Okay, New Year's is coming up. 2022 is coming up. So um, you guys enjoy. So I'm gonna end real quick. Um, I should have already had it ready, and I never have it ready. Yes, I'll just go ahead and end it, you guys. And like I said, thank you guys all for tuning in. And I'll see you tomorrow at 7:30. I will set a reminder up, sister, soul sisters. Okay, I definitely will set a reminder up. I will do that late tonight, and I'll see you guys on tomorrow at 7:30. But I got to go. Much love to you all. Thank you, Sunshine. And I'm out, you guys. Good night.